Have you ever had a moment where nothing was actually wrong, but your mind convinced you everything was falling apart? You're sitting there, breathing, alive, safe, and suddenly your brain is like, hey, what if everything goes wrong today? Remember that thing you said 4 years ago? Yeah, let's think about that now. What if they don't like you? What if you fail? What if you embarrass yourself? And you're like, bro, I was just trying to eat breakfast right now. Now, that is the suffering mind, not life hurting you, but your imagination hurting you. Now, this is JengaPod, episode 2 of the Suffering Mind series. And in this episode, we are going to explore the signs that your mind is creating suffering that reality never asked for. Now, part 1. Let's look at the invisible signs of a suffering mind. Most people don't realize they are suffering in their imagination because the signs are subtle. They hide inside your habits, your thoughts, your reactions. So, let's break them down. Sign 1. You constantly seek approval, praise, or validation. Now, this one is very sneaky. You post something online and suddenly you're refreshing your phone like it owes you money. You walk into a room and your peace depends on whether people smile at you. You finish a project and instead of feeling proud, you wait for someone to tell you that project was good. Now, this is not confidence. This is outsourcing your self-worth. Now, psychology calls it external validation dependency. Stoicism calls it living for the applause of the crowd. And I call it the fastest way to suffer unnecessarily. Because the moment your peace depends on other people, your mind becomes a hostage. Signs number 2. Indecisiveness. The fear behind the I don't know. Now let's be honest. You usually do know. You just don't want to make the wrong choice. So you delay. You overthink. You ask 12 people for their opinions. You watch 47 YouTube videos. You make a pros and cons list. Then another one. Then a color-coded one. Now this isn't lack of clarity. This is fear wearing the mask of caution. Indecisiveness is the mind saying, I'd rather suffer in uncertainty than risk being wrong. But here's the truth. No choosing is still a choice. And that choice is usually the one that hurts you the most. Sign 3. Analysis paralysis. Thinking instead of living. This is when your mind becomes a hamster wheel. You think and think and think, but nothing actually happens. You plan the workout, you research the diet, you watch productivity videos, you buy the journal, you buy the pen for the journal, you buy the bag to carry the journal, but you never actually start. This is decision fatigue mixed with the fear of imperfection. Your mind convinces you that thinking is progress, but thinking without action is just suffering in disguise. Sign 4. Emotional forecasting, predicting pain that never arrives. You know this one. You imagine the worst case scenario. You rehearse the embarrassment. You feel the failure before you even try. You suffer the breakup before the relationship begins. You suffer the rejection before you apply. You suffer the disappointment before the moment arrives. And then, when the moment actually comes, it's never as bad as you imagined. Your mind created a horror movie. Reality gave you a documentary. Sign 5. You replay conversations like they are movie scenes. You ever walk away from a conversation and suddenly your brain becomes a film director? Why did you say that? You should have said this instead. They probably think you're weird. Let's replay it 17 times just to be sure. This is rumination, the mind chewing on a moment long after it's over. Rumination is a mental self-torture disguised as reflection. That was part 1 where we looked at the signs. Now part 2, we're asking ourselves why these signs matter. These signs are not random. they are symptoms of a deeper truth. Your mind is trying to protect you, but it's doing it in a way that hurts you. It's like having a bodyguard who punches you in the face every time someone walks by. Your mind thinks it's helping. It's trying to keep you safe, but it's end up keeping you small. Part 3, let's look at the philosophy behind the science. Now, Seneca said, we suffer more in our imagination than in reality. Modern psychology agrees. There's cognitive distortions, catastrophizing, negativity bias, overthinking, rumination. Now, these are all ways the mind tries to prepare you for danger, but ends up creating danger where none exists. Now, Stoicism teaches we are more often frightened than hurt. And psychology teaches the brain reacts to imagined danger the same way it reacts to real danger. Your mind does not know the difference, but you can learn to know the difference. Now, part 4, let's look at some real-life scenarios. Here, I want to give you a few examples where you can see how this play out. Now, the first scenario is the text message scenario. You send a message, they don't reply. Your mind, they're ignoring me. They're mad. I say something wrong. They hate me. Reality, maybe their phone died. Now, scenario 2, the meeting. Your boss says, can we talk later? Your mind, oh, I'm gonna get fired. I messed up. My career is over. Reality, they just want to give you a new project. Now, scenario 3, the decision. You want to start something new, a business, a habit, a dream. Your mind, what if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if people judge me? Reality, you have not even tried it yet. Now, part 5, let's look at what is coming next. Now that you know the science, the next step is breaking the cycle. Episode 3 is where we shift from suffering to action, from imagination to execution, from fear to clarity. We'll talk about Kobe Bryant philosophy when he said, I don't negotiate with myself. We'll talk about mindfulness, reframing, and practical tools to stop suffering in your mind and start living in your reality. But before you go, I want you to remember this. If this science sounds familiar, you are not broken, you are not weak, you are not dramatic, you are human, and your mind is trying to protect you. But protection without wisdom becomes a prison. And this series is about learning how to walk out of that prison, one thought, one decision, one moment at a time. Now, this is JengaPod. I'm your host, Godwin. Let's get starting. Let's keep building. Let's keep rising. And if this episode spoke to you, please do subscribe, follow us on all our podcast channels, like, comment, and share it with somebody that you want to be aware of this. And having said so, I'll see you in our next episode. Thank you so much. Have a good time.